Welcome to The Founder Factor, where we'll dig into the strategies, ideas, and mindsets of South Carolina's most impactful entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Caroline Jennings, and if you're looking for your next business breakthrough, you've come to the right place. On today's episode, we're joined by Jenna Spencer, who's the founder and visionary at AssistPro. Thanks so much for being on the show today, Jenna. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right, let's get right into it. So tell me a bit about what sparked your decision to start AssistPro.
Yeah. So the short backstory is I was a working mom, had just had my third child, and I did not want to go back to the corporate world. I just was dropping my kids off for 12 hours a day, it felt like, and I was just so unhappy. And I became an executive assistant working from home to two business coaches and didn't really know a whole lot about them. But 6 months into that, they said, hey, our industry really needs great executive assistants. You have people management experience. Is this something that you might want to do? And I had a few friends that had been texting and saying, hey, what is it that you're doing? I really am intrigued by this. And I remember standing in the kitchen with my husband saying, I can't not do this. I have to do this because I can help other people work from home with just what I found. And so that's how it started. Just that moment, I knew it was something I had to do.
Yeah. So what were a few of those things that you had found working from home that you wanted to carry over into AssistPro?
Yeah. So the freedom of time, really, I wanted to control my own time, but I still wanted the professional piece. I wanted the professional conversation, the work satisfaction, because I'm a much better mom when I work. And so that's what I wanted to be able to provide was an opportunity for people that wanted both. They really wanted to put family first, but they also wanted to work from home and still have that professional aspect.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like your mindset has changed since those beginning days in starting your business? Kind of where are you now versus when did you start your business?
2014.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Where are you now versus then?
I don't even remember who I was back then. I feel like I'm such a different person now. I would say that every little thing that happened back then was a disaster and my world was going to end. The company was going to end, everything that happened, because I didn't have the experience and everything just felt like a huge deal. Now I'm much more calm. I know to ride the waves and it's like, okay, this is a problem. Okay, I need to learn something here. All right. Don't freak out. It's going to be okay. We've been in a similar situation before. So I would say that I know how to ride the waves and know that there's highs and lows and not everything is as much of a disaster as I thought it was.
Yes. Not everything feels like, it's rarely as big of a deal as it feels like in the moment.
Yes.
Are there any specific decisions or just challenges you faced early on that you look back on now and laugh at?
Yeah, there was one. So in my industry, the way that we bill is a little unique for our clients, but we had messed up our billing and we owed a bunch of time and hours back to people and to 5 figures. Now it's no big deal. But back then I was like, this is horrible. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? It was this humongous mistake, and I'll never forget my father-in-law. He's been such a great mentor to me. And he said, Jenna, it was 10 miles in. It's going to be 10 miles out. Just create a
That's a great quote.
Yeah. Just create a process, follow it step by step. You've got this.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of my biggest learning lessons.
Yeah, no kidding. What do you feel like you have an aha moment that you can look back on that changed the trajectory of AssistPro?
The aha moment that changed the trajectory. Yeah, I feel like there's been lots of ahas along the way. I feel like as a visionary, there's always lots going on in my brain. There's always new ideas, right? And there's always light bulbs going off. I would say one of the biggest ahas is that there is so much opportunity out there. I used to feel like if I didn't take advantage of this opportunity right now, that I was going to miss something in some way. So learning to slow down and realize there's tons of opportunity, there's tons of growth available, but the growth really starts with me and realizing that at each growth place that I get to, there's another piece of growth that is just unlocked at that level.
Right.
And that's probably been the biggest aha, is learning to embrace that rather than, what do you mean it's harder now? It was supposed to be easier when I got to, 7 figures or this spot. So that's been really cool to like settle into that in the last couple of years.
Yeah. So can you tell me about one of the riskiest or say scariest decisions you've made in these past, has it been 8 years?
Yeah. Probably the riskiest or the scariest to me has been during the pandemic. And the scariest to me was investing back into my company during that time, just with so much uncertainty, and there's still uncertainty, of course, and there always will be as an entrepreneur. But it was really taking money to reinvest back into my own business. To me, it was like the stakes were just super high when I made that decision, but it's been the best decision that I could ever make. And it's really had a huge impact on the company and what we've been able to do the last few years.
Yeah. How are you able to stomach that? I mean, I'm sure that had to have been a really tough decision. How did you get through that time?
I'm a big believer in mentors. My mom taught me, always go to someone older and wiser than you that's been through things before. You can learn just as much from people like that as you can from books. And so that's always been something that I've done. And no one gave me the answer. Of course, that was so frustrating, right? So they're like,
yes.
Well, what do you want to do, Jenna? And what are the pros and cons? I'm like, I just want an answer. Can you please just tell me yes or no?
Right.
But they all guided me to say or to ask myself, what is it that I really want? I took a leap of faith starting this business, but that doesn't mean there aren't different kinds of leaps of faith along the way. And I knew it was a risk, but I also, I guess by that point, had more confidence in myself as an entrepreneur that if I had to and things got really bad, I could start over. Like I believe in myself enough that I could do it again.
Right.
So.
Does anything stand out as the best advice you've gotten from one of those mentors, or any, quotes, key philosophies you've taken away?
So there is a quote. It's through Strategic Coach with Dan Sullivan that a lot of my mentors have told me to go through because I really lacked confidence as an entrepreneur. And their big quote is, clarity creates confidence. And I realized I really didn't have clarity. And by going through that program the last 4 years, I've gotten a lot of confidence, but it's come through clarity.
Yeah.
And then also my father-in-law, it's 10 miles in, it's 10 miles out, just one step at a time. That has been super helpful for me because as a visionary, I'm like, okay, well, I want this and right now. And if we do that, just super fast paced. So that's helped me calm down a little bit. And then one of my other mentors, I've struggled a lot with, well, what's the right answer? Like, what do I do? What is the right decision? And one of my other mentors said, well, if you see an entrepreneur that you really like and you like what they've done, don't recreate the wheel. Kind of follow in their footsteps to some degree. And that's what I've done as well. That has been super helpful.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So you have mentioned the word visionary a few times.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? And what does it look like day-to-day with AssistPro?
So I learned about visionary through EOS, which is a system that we use in our company. It's the entrepreneurial operating system. And so visionaries are a lot of times the business owner, but big idea people, very distracted a lot of times, but I didn't realize that I was a visionary. So I thought that I was super detailed and organized and, checklist and all of that. But I did all of those things because I felt like I had to be that way. So once I truly embraced my visionary, now I get to do speaking and do more networking and lead my company in a completely different way. And it's been so incredibly freeing because I get to do what I love to do and it doesn't feel hard anymore. And so being a visionary to me is someone that really embraces the big ideas and always has the new ideas, loves to lead people. But that's what it is for me because I've finally been able to embrace that in myself. So
Right. This podcast is brought to you by Designly, South Carolina's top-rated app development company, and Word of Web, your partner in smarter website strategy and design. So all of the other, when you think about being a typical CEO, it looks like a lot of process related tasks, administrative tasks.
Yes.
So it's not like that stuff has just disappeared with your business. So how do you approach those not so visionary tasks?
For me, it's with an assistant. Of course, right? I'm in the assistant business, but I have a really great operations director. She does a lot. She's kind of the glue that keeps us all together.
Yeah.
So I've really created a right hand that can do a lot of that type of stuff. And then my assistant knows how to manage me. So instead of me having to do all the detail work or write reports or, do lots of written things, now I can record videos with Loom. I can send them. I can have Zoom meetings with people. So my assistant is really great at helping me get what I need to get to my team in a way that naturally flows from me, which has been really cool.
Yeah, finding people that can manage you as well.
Yes.
As a leader is very important, definitely.
Yes, she's amazing.
Yeah. Glad you found someone that is that excellent.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to our conversation about mentorship.
Sure.
So I'm sure you've been a mentor for a lot of founders as well.
Yes.
What types of exercises do you do with your mentees to help guide them through the types of thinking that your mentor has guided you through?
Yeah. So that's kind of a broad question for me because I feel like it takes so much understanding the individual person. So what types of things do they enjoy doing? Do they like to write? Do they like to listen? Do they like to talk things out? So first step would be identifying how they communicate and kind of what works for them. And then the other is really around their goals. So always connecting back to where they want to go, because how do we know where we're going if we don't know, or how do we know how to get there if we don't know where we're going? So really thinking about where is it that they want to go, a lot of visualization. So imagine being in that time and you've achieved this goal and what did it take to get there? So I think that is really important, but also just finding out what is it that they want, what are they struggling with, and then asking great questions, getting them to ask those questions to themselves and just really exploring what some of those answers are and what comes up for them.
Right.
But really a lot around energy management too. How are they feeling about different types of situations or different things going on? Are they really excited about something, or is there a big fire to put out? But it's really getting to know that person and finding out how to best help them lead themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I imagine, during COVID as well, you said that was a point of big transition for your business. It's at least, my experience was it's hard to find mentors virtually.
Yes.
So now that things are a bit more back to normal now, but how did you go about finding that virtual mentor network or peer network even?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of my mentors is my mom, right? So she's also an entrepreneur, learn a ton from her. One of my other mentors, I've kind of been chasing him down, and I still am. But he said mentors are hard to find and go after the ones you really want. So he lets me pester him with 2 questions once a quarter. And every quarter, I'm calling with my 2 questions.
Good.
So I'm kind of still chasing that one down for more official. I have gone through a few organizations. So there's a women's entrepreneurs group in Greenville, and I've received some mentorship there and given some mentorship. And then there's other groups throughout the U.S. So one specifically is Small Giants. So they focus on small to mid-sized companies that want to be really great and not just about numbers. And so they have a mentorship program that I'm in as well.
Yeah. So the last thing you said there, I want to harp on that for a minute. You said founders that aren't just about numbers. So what are you about?
I am about my people. And I'm about doing really great work. And if you develop your people and you hire great people, you continue to develop them and let them flourish and always do great work, I think that everything else will come.
How do you think about assigning tasks, letting people flourish within a certain set of parameters?
I think you have to be really great with hiring. So, very slow to hire, really looking at what does this job entail? What are the tasks that are going to be here? And then doing a whole host of assessments, and screening for, is this really what this person wants to do? Also looking at, as a role develops, if this person might not be that great in this role anymore, are they still a great fit for the company? And is there another seat for them? Right. So because we run on EOS, we use GWC, which means it's kind of like a filter. And so do they get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity to do it? And so it provides a really great filter for that. So really screening for people, but I believe that great people want growth. And so it's all about being a leader that develops a leader that develops a leader. So that's what we're all about.
Yeah, and leaving room for that growth and flexibility. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So switching gears a bit.
Yeah.
Is there anything, well, let me back up a bit. Clearly, your business has grown tremendously in the past 8 years.
Yes.
What do you think would have surprised you back at the beginning about where you are today? What looks different than you thought it would have starting out?
That I have the time and freedom that I want now. So things were so hard in the beginning, right? Startup phase is crazy. Everybody does everything. It's insane. You work lots of hours, but you're hustling for the dream. And once we hit a certain spot, I was still continuing to work like crazy. And I was very frustrated because it's like, well, why am I still doing this? So I definitely went through like a thing in entrepreneurship. But then I realized, but what am I missing? What is it that I want that I don't have right now? And I realized that I had achieved what I really wanted to achieve, which is freedom of time. I wasn't taking advantage of it. So I plugged in different resources. I got an assistant. I hired a great operations director rather than me trying to do everything because we were not doing well with Visionary trying to do all the operations. And once I plugged those few key pieces in, I really was able to take a step back and enjoy everything. And then that's actually when the company grew even more. So.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredibly insightful to be able to say, I have accomplished what I wanted to.
Yeah.
How have you withstood the pressure that is all around us as entrepreneurs to, hustle and grind and burn the midnight oil?
Yeah. Don't listen to it.
Block it out.
It's kind of hard because I certainly, I'm around other entrepreneurs and I'm like, but how do you do this? How do you do that? And I do feel like you have to make a decision to not get on that train. And that's what I call it. Because you can get on that train really fast and you can go and do all of that. But I know from doing that I wound up not being with my kids the way I wanted to, not having the marriage I wanted to. And yeah, there was some money in the bank account, but I felt like I had given my blood, sweat, and tears for it. And so now I actually implemented something from Strategic Coach. So I've obviously invested a lot into my growth. And it's all around my time management system. And so now I actually take complete free days every single week, month, quarter, and year. And I've taken 2 sabbaticals of 6 weeks in the last 2 years. And that has been the biggest game changer because now I'm able to work from being filled up. I'm not working to earn free time off.
Wow, that's a really important frame shift.
Yeah, it's hard, right? It's a habit.
Right.
It's not like, okay, to make a decision and then it's just perfect forever.
Right.
It definitely is a habit. And I find myself slipping all the time, right? And my husband's my accountability partner. Like, hey, you weren't going to be on your phone all weekend. I'm like, it's just a couple of things,
Just one email.
Just 1 second, but trying to be intentional about it and taking that time to say, no, this is my free time and I work better from that. The best thing I ever did for myself was take 6 weeks off. And I did not believe it. And someone dared me to do it. And I'm like, okay, well, I have to do it because I'm, competitive. And it was a game changer.
Right. Well, as you said at the beginning, it's all about clarity.
Yep.
So wrapping up here, let me ask you one more question that we ask all of our interviewees.
Okay.
What is the single non-negotiable in your business?
Doing the right thing. So that is like my number one core value. always do the right thing, always take the high road. You know, it doesn't matter what someone else does or what someone else chooses to say or what someone else chooses to do. We always take the high road, and I hire people that have that same belief and philosophy. And if you always do the right thing, then you can lay your head down on your pillow at night and sleep well.
Well said. Well, I think that's a beautiful quote to end on.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jenna, for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This was so fun.
Well, this has been The Founder Factor. Thanks for joining us. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next time.